All right, welcome everybody to D&D Civil War, A Realm Awakened, session number 10, A Struggle for Power. You guys ready over here?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Insert my body is ready to.
Okay, well, let's do it then. Real quick recap. I don't have the big notes that I would normally have, but a lot of things actually occurred last session. After the party dealing with the drama at the assassin's house and trying to sort everything out, figure out what they were going to do, the party kind of split once again, with Freddy heading off in his own direction and the others doing their own thing. But their own thing was going and getting as hammered as possible after the events of the night and attempting to make sense of it all somehow through many glasses of the finest alcohol they could get their hands on. It
was not very fine alcohol.
Oh, no, it was not very fine alcohol, but it was the finest they could find. After things begin to settle down and everybody heads back, once again, actually, did the whole party go to the Gladymane Tower this time, or was it 2 and 2? I thought it was 2 and 2. Yep. With Vivian and Celeste heading to the Veritas Tower, and the two sisters, Circe and Calypso, heading to the Starlight Temple. They would drink off their very inebriated night and wake up the next morning feeling a little refreshed and ready to get to the bottom of all of this. As they did, the party would regroup once again and decide they needed to make a stop. And the stop was at the holding cell that they first arrived at when they were on the SLR as a party together. Making their way to the holding cell, they went to knock on the door, and the door was mysteriously unlocked and not pulled closed. As they push the door open and make their way inside, they discover the assassin, who kind of hinted at it to Celeste previously when she was in the house of the assassin. The assassin was indeed responsible for the deaths of all of the guards and the head officer that was running the facility. And then somehow managing to escape, would regroup and make his way back to the Emerald Claw, which is where you guys ran into him at. Taking this information and feeling it wasn't quite safe to stick around here, the party quickly rushed off, got back on the SLR, and headed to the northeast, where they would make their way back to the trade ward so that they could speak with Sheras, the would-be travel guide / archeologist who has been trying to uncover his big find. And taking a few moments, the party was able to quickly discern this individual is probably not going to be worth their grain of salt in any situation. Walking around a bit drunk and haphazardly as they stumbled into the office. The party quickly left from here and decided they needed to have another discussion with the Representative Kraibat of the... I don't remember the name of the ward because I have so many of them.
Was it the Dark?
No, it is not the Dark. It is Representative Kraibat. And I don't have the notes on here. Of course I don't. Because why would I? Cleto. wards. It was the... All right. The Embassy of Zenrik is the name of their ward. They would go to Upper Toledo to visit the Hall of the 22, where pretty much all of the representatives have an office here, and they can be found most days. If you have any questions for them or any concerns for the ward, oftentimes people are waiting, and as the party walked in, they met the bouncer kind of individual, security guard, who really, you could tell he was just there for a paycheck. One didn't intentionally want to hurt anybody, but had no qualms with doing so if anybody crossed the line. As the party went up and spoke with the representative made it very clear that they are looking for this relic so that they can give it to the queen and to try to appease things and make things right despite everything that the Gladamain had done to them in the past. The past not being 5 or 10 years, but centuries before. Taking this information, the party is still on the fence, unsure really how to approach this or where to really go with anything. They quickly made their way back to the SLR, to which they would arrive back at Eltan's vision. And for the first time since arriving here at the Living Isles, Vivian is now standing face to face with the one person that she wanted to speak to the most, which is where we continue our session tonight.
I didn't know Kai was here.
Kai? Where's Kai?
That seems to be who she wants to talk to the most.
I hate every single one of you.
You don't
say anything.
So,
weren't we going into the keep or whatever?
You were already there, so you walked into...
I mean, Belvedere was taking us inside or to his chambers or something?
Yeah, so you guys walked in, and as you walked in, you were kind of looking around trying to find somebody, and you ended up seeing Freddy here. He ended up retreating back here towards the end of the night to rest and relax, and waited for you guys as you decided now would probably be an appropriate time for you to, go and try to find him again. As you approached, Freddy kind of waved you on. You mentioned you wanted to go and speak to Belvedere, at which point you were brought up, introduced to Belvedere, or reintroduced, as it were, to Belvedere, and trying to kind of come to terms with everything. He takes you upstairs, instead of just greeting you at the bottom of the tower, takes you up to his private quarters, where everybody walks in, sits down, gathering various chairs and things that you could find, boxes or crates are scattered all around, and you sit down, have a seat, and that's where we're at.
It's just me with Belvedere?
Are you wanting to be alone with him to be able to have discussions without everybody else?
If other people want to be there, I guess they can.
Do you want us there?
Would
Vivian's not gonna...
we know to be there? Like, we don't know the Flaming Fist.
We went with her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I mean, just like, why would we be talking to Belvedere is more like, I'm not saying I'm against it, just what would our reason to be there be?
I'm just
You
making
know
sure...
him personally.
I'm just trying to figure out if I'm alone with him or not.
Okay.
You know what? I'll say you go in by yourself.
Yeah, I don't think Calypso would have gone in. It seems like it would be rude to sit under your conversation with him. We'll definitely ask you what happened after.
Freddy would
Great.
go as far to like walk with her up to the chambers, but then ask Vivian, did you wish to speak to him alone, or do you want someone else there with you? It's your choice. I have no idea. What is it coming up?
I think I'd like to talk to Belvedere on my own.
All right. We'll be back upstairs when you need us.
All right, and with that, the party stepping away, and Vivian stepping forward, grabbing onto the handle to his chambers, pushing it open and revealing a kind of quaint but comfortable headmaster's chambers at the very top of this tower, where you can kind of overlook all the activity here within Eltan's vision. As you walk in, he turns to you and kind of motions and offers you a cup of tea that he's been pouring, and tells you to have a seat at the table next to him. And says, I understand you have questions for me.
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, anything that I can do to help, I will do so.
Well, first, to keep this between you and me, you can't tell anyone.
And with that, he nods.
Can I make an insight check to make sure he doesn't tell my mother?
Yeah, go ahead and do an insight check.
Oof.
All right, pretty sure you know what that means.
I'm 100% convinced he says he's being honest.
Mm-hmm.
So, Belvedere, what do you know about devils?
Being a paladin, most paladins have a very significant and solid understanding of devils, demons, angels, or fae as they're called here, both good and bad, and they're able to sense them very well. As you ask this, he kind of looks at you a little bit and raises an eyebrow and says, "Why do you ask?"
Well, I was just doing research quite a few years ago, and I came across this thing about how some tieflings are directly descended from different devils, and I was just curious what you knew about devils.
He kind of looks at you and trying to recall every bit of knowledge that he has of specific devils, and says, well, there are obviously exceptions to the rule, but generally devils are not very well looked upon here in the realm.
Okay, what about the people in charge? Like, I remember reading that there are different levels and they each have someone in charge. Do you know about those people? Or devils?
And again, he kind of nods at you and says, are you letting on that you're following one of these?
No.
Your mic cut out.
Did I cut out?
Yeah.
Oh. So I said that I figured out what my lineage was, and I just was curious about that.
All right, and what do you believe your lineage is?
I'm pretty sure it's Mephistopheles, but mom being mom, I didn't have a lot of access to material like that. So I was curious what you.
As you mention the name Mephistopheles, immediately kind of withdraws a bit and leans a little back in his chair. He's very well versed in the actions of Mephistopheles and kind of looks at you and almost a questioning, are you sure this is right?
I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm
If you're still talking, you're breaking up.
It
could be your mic or the cable to your mic.
So I said that I'm pretty sure that's who I'm descended from.
All right. It certainly complicates things, but I'll find a way around it. What is it that you need to know?
I mean, I'm just curious of, like, is he super evil, or what does he do, and stuff like that.
Well, he stops and kind of looks at you and says, as far as the evil scale goes, yeah, he's pretty far evil. Unfortunately, it's if you are one of his children, then you may not have much to say for what is going to come of you whenever you pass.
Oh.
He sort of looks at you and begins to think and ponder a bit of it, and stands and turns around and grabs for one of the books that are sitting on his bookshelf there in his private study. He grabs it, and as he pulls it off the shelf, turns around and brings it over, and as he sets it down, says, unfortunately, Meph doesn't really care too much about his followers, just another body to add to the fire, as it were. As he starts flipping through and begins looking up some of the information that he has, he starts to point out that the follower, or his followers more specifically, are basically just pretty much nothing. They are fuel for him, to allow him to continue to be the demon that he is, or the devil that he is. He, trying to phrase this without changing really anything here. Mephistopheles basically makes you sign these contracts just so that he can guarantee himself one more soul, and then at the end of the day, whatever it takes to make you sign that piece of paper or that document, or to give him what it is that he is ultimately looking for, which is just another number for him as he begins to fight against, I believe it's Beelzebub.
It's like the... Oh,
Yep.
I thought it was like the biggest ruler.
Yeah, his main enemy is Beelzebub. And as he's constantly building and trying to build up this army of souls, is literally all he cares about. One more soul to add to the pile so that he can continue to finally bring this fight to an end and claim what he believes is right, which is him being all-powerful. But really, Belvedere is only going by a book that he found on his shelf that somebody has offered to him. And he turns and hands you this book and says, I'm sure your mother doesn't keep things like this around the house, so if you would like to take it with you and study some more, I'm sure you can glean some additional information from it.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I will read it all as soon as possible.
Okay. And taking that, you have a book that's specifically related to Mephistopheles and kind of depicts what the servants of Mephistopheles would actually be and who they are to him and what he represents here in the Forgotten Realms itself.
All right, that sounds all good to me. That's pretty much all I wanted to talk to Belvedere about.
Okay. And kind of with that, you sit back and take a couple of minutes, not trying to just come in, get what you need, and quickly run out. You sit down and have a nice, kind of cordial and relaxing conversation about life in general and talking about things such as how your mother has been and what's been going on in the world, knowing that Belvedere has spent most of his days here within the Living Isles trying to build up Fort Eltan and Eltan's vision with limited number of individuals participating and interacting with them. But after a little while, you stand up and again thank Belvedere for helping you out and having this discussion with you, and then head back downstairs to rejoin the rest of the party.
Circe waves.
Well, don't keep us in suspense. How did it go?
I'll tell you guys later. I have a book to read first.
I told you we should have gone with her.
She nods.
Freddy just shakes his head. What time of day is it, by the way, Forge?
It's about midday right now.
So midday the next day after all the shenanigans.
Yep.
Could I do a bit of a retcon and maybe get... Because the one thing I wanted to get done since he would have eventually done it just him by himself probably is go and talk to the... Get this log. But talk to the Sentinel North, the Captain Belvedere Miracle?
So you could actually do that with the group here. That would be fine. I wouldn't want to retcon it just because it doesn't really change anything if it happens now or then. So...
Well, I was just basically as quick as possible because we wouldn't prattle around too long so that we've gotten taken care of at some point.
Yep, and we could just play it out that everybody accompanies you there. Because, I mean, you guys don't really have a lot of things on your checklist still to do. So if you wanted to follow along with that, the party could group up with you, head that way. Because right now you're not going to get anything done at any of the ends because it's still fairly early in the day to be able to get anything like that accomplished.
Well, how much time did we have left at the end of the other day after all the things? That was about midday 2 the previous day, correct? Or...
Wait, the day before?
Yes.
Oh, they went out and got shit-faced, so yeah.
Right, but I left at some point before they did, which I wasn't sure what time exactly it was after, like, the whole issues with the cult.
Are you just curious because you wanted to take care of this one thing?
That, and if either way, and also he would have tried to track down the kid, and if he couldn't find him in like a reasonable amount of time, depending on how long he had, he would have set one of his one of my people onto it, one of my servants.
Okay. We'll retcon and say that you did wander around looking for the kid and spent some time heading back over by where you knew Sarge was, not finding him there, began heading back south looking over towards the docks, just trying to recall every place that you had previously seen him. Unfortunately, not stumbling across him as you're wandering through the city. Taking the opportunity to speak to one of your servants, you hand them a small message and send them back out into the city, basically sending them out as a search party looking for this kid. Basically saying that if they are to be found, to hand them the message that basically informs the kid that you are wanting to get in contact with him again.
Actually, if they gets the message, I would just tell them either find him and bring him back to Eltan's vision, or invite him back if you wanted to. Basically, if you wanted to come.
Okay. So you send the assistant out to start looking for the kid, and hope to hear something soon as you begin wandering around. Skip back ahead to current day. You do know that you could jump back on the SLR, make your way towards the blue line, which is way up to the north, and go almost to the very end. Or I believe it is actually the final stop. Yep, it is. Of the blue line there, making your way up here. If you are wanting to go and speak to the House Madani, about getting some of the recruits.
That would be ideal. When I bring this up to the party, it's like, alright, so nothing else pressing, and we got time to kill. I'd like to get this taken care of, because actually I would have wanted to taken care of back a day ago, but things happen, so the sooner the better I can get this sorted.
Seems okay, she says with her mind.
Doesn't speak to anybody. Just kind of nods.
Speak to anybody. Well, she has telepathy now.
Oh.
She can only talk to one person at a time, though, so it's not really great for widespread communication. But she can, make someone think that they're crazy.
True. This is true. All right. Any objections to this?
No objections.
Nope, I'm all good.
All right. So with that, again, the party thanking Belvedere for his time, wander back over to the SLR, make your way north, and venture your way along the blue line at the very final stop at a location called the Yard, which leads you directly to the greatest militia and bodyguards this side of the Living Isles, House Madani. During the War of the Mark during the War of the Mark in Eberron, Madani was a very great assistance to Breland and provided it with access to the bulk of the resources that it gathered. They had managed to strong-arm all of the other groups, such as Danith, out of Breland, and provided a service that was an immeasurable success. This gained them quite a lot of notoriety within Eberron. If you skip forward a bit of time, hearing that some new paths had awaited them here in the Living Isles, they would meet with Queen Mariel and the Gladamain High Council, striking a deal that would bring their own brand of militia here, where they were no longer under the jurisdiction of the Korth Edicts. The last stop of the SLR goes just above ground and one of the only locations where it's possible to see actual daylight. The crackle of the rail engine as it drives forward begins to echo through the tunnels as it fades away into quite an incredible view.
And then you cut out.
Oh no. As the darkness fades away into quite an incredible view as you overlook the city with the train coming up here. This area, this massive training complex in front of you, is called the Medina Yard, and it expands half a mile along the coastline. Sellswords and other individuals in very basic militia garb are performing training, backdropped by the trackless sea and a handful of naval vessels, and one singular airship which resides off to the far east of the Medina Yard. As the SLR comes to a stop and each of you step out of the rail car, you are greeted by the administration building.
Is the SLR, and then
I don't know why it's cutting out for you guys. Holy crap.
Seems to be happening with everybody today.
Let me try something. I'm going to change. Oh, that's why. Okay. So I changed it. It might be better now. We'll see. Let's see. As the SLR comes to a stop and you step out of the rail car, you're greeted by the administration building of House Medini, Fort Treleb. Its namesake, that of the Baron of House Medini itself. The fort is incredible. The 600-foot long, made of red sandstone. It connects all of the outer barriers of the yard itself, separating it from the rest of the city of Kalido. There are these massive, like 100-foot tall or 100-foot wide flanking towers on each side of the doorway. Fortifications built everywhere here. You could tell this is something they are very proud of, and they think very highly of this this fort that they have established here. During the normal business hours, the entry to Fort Treleb is treated as kind of like a visitor center. The giant doors in the front are swung wide open, and you're able to walk in and take a look out onto the yard itself. This very open, 100-foot wide chamber looks out, and kind of the backside of it, there's no wall to it, so you can just see all across the yard itself. At the end of the chamber is a rope that's kind of treated like a divider, separating you from the militia and allowing you to get a clear and kind of up-close view of all of the activity that's taking place here. From your location, you see a very wide range of militia and sellswords currently being trained. Their trainings range from physical fitness to martial combat to marksmanship. The crackling of an explosive force off to the east, however, draws your attention away very quickly as you take notice of a small unit of individuals carrying a very strange-looking bit of weaponry, roughly 3 foot in length, where small puffs of smoke pour out of the end of it. You watch as one of the men grabs a small horn-shaped kind of instrument and tips it upward, and then placing something within it, and then stuffing it down with this padded pole at the end. As you continue to watch the man, you start to hear a voice. "Are you with the committee?"
Yes. Turn to face the person who's speaking. Do I recognize them?
As you turn around to answer, you hear once again the sound of this crackling of the same explosive force back behind you. The man in front of you, dressed in garb of the militia and very well decorated, steps forward and says, "Right, very well. Captain Marifel would like to speak with you."
Excellent.
With that, he quickly leads you out onto the field itself, where you see a half-circle red sandstone balcony with the flowing waterfall in the center of it. It's from here where the view of the yard is actually more impressive than before, giving you a perfect, unobstructed view of everything for miles out. Standing at the side, kind of near the sandstone block edge, watching as training is taking place, is a short, half-elfin woman with shoulder-length brown hair, dressed in high-ranking militia attire. After a brief moment, the individual who's accompanying you turns to her, greeting her, and she greets you with a clenched fist on her chest, a salute of respect given towards you, and says, "Sir Damadani said that you would be arriving here. You are in need of forces, yes?"
Yes, I return the salute.
"And am I to presume it's for the Flaming Fist," kind of looking at your garb, your tunic that you're wearing?
Yes. Yes, indeed. And let me introduce myself. I'm Frederick von Kowalski, here representing on behalf of Belvedere and Jehoshaphat.
With that, a very calm kind of almost stern demeanor. She kind of looks at you and nods and kind of looks out, pointing out across the field, and says, "Well, these are the men that we have at our disposal. Whatever we have here is something that you're welcome to. Perhaps you would like a little closer introduction to what we actually can offer."
Sounds great.
You turn with the rest of the group here. All of you accompany Eladir out onto the field. As you make your way out, you start heading directly in the path where you were hearing the loud explosive crackling that you were seeing before. This thunder of the concussive blasts that continue to erupt from this weapon grows louder and louder, almost deafening as you get closer to it. You watch as the next man pulls up this weapon, pointing it in the direction of the target, and with a brief pause, pulls back a little lever that lets forth a very loud crackle of energy, followed by the target erupting into 1,000 tiny pieces on the field. She looks at you, reaching out, grabbing onto this weapon, and handing it to you, and says, "These are very interesting devices made by House Caneth and left at our disposal." As she takes the device, she unfastens a clip on the side of it, and when she does, she pulls back this panel, and it reveals this chamber where a tiny metal ball, or a tiny ball of fire, resides within it, dormant. A spring-loaded lever begins to lower as she pulls this metal trigger, and it opens a sliding trapdoor that exposes the flame of this, what you believe to be an elemental, to the substance that is loaded into it. She looks at you and says, "These elementals grow stronger when you expose them to Eberron dragon shard dust in the chamber. When the two mix, boom. Devastating to the enemy. The process is a little more expensive, though, compared to archery or abolus."
It's quite impressive.
Yeah, we have an interesting new one that Caneth has been working on, too. It fires a bolt of lightning to subdue the individual. A little less messy, or at least it is when it is fired with the right size conductor stone at the end. He kind of takes it back, looking at you, taking the weapon and placing it back in the hands of the other individuals. As you start walking away, once again, you hear the loud explosive crackling. You start to look forward, paying a little closer attention to the next group, a group of longbowmen. They've set up their that they're using is a little bit more unique than the previous, where the other group was stationary. This group performs based on platforms, quickly learning how to shift in a very fluid motion from one height to another, quickly getting into position to be able to fire off these longbow shots that fly halfway across the yard. After a couple of seconds and watching them, she says, "Some of the finest archers here in Toledo. They can get atop any structure and have precision aim. Perfect to stay up and kind of out of sight of festival goers and be able to protect somebody in a moment's notice."
Indeed.
She kind of looks over the group of archers, and as they begin to regroup, you're watching they're running very specific kind of scenarios. Each one told to perform a specific task, and as they perform this task, they're given a specific target out in the yard, way far out. Their precision is almost spot on. But as you begin to watch these specialists a bit, you watch as the captain begins to walk forward again, stepping a bit to the north and heading beyond where the marksmen are, is where the physical fitness routines are taking place. Kind of near the back, almost in the direction or area of the very large airship. You watch individuals practicing things such as sword fighting and defensive stances and working as a team to be able to accomplish goals. They appear to be broken into groups, some attackers, some defenders, some acting as civilians. As you watch, the swordsmen are very well trained, very smooth, very flowing. They know what they're doing, and they know how to inflict damage if necessary. After a couple of seconds, you pay a little closer attention, and you notice there is zero room for error with these individuals. These men are training with real swords and with no armor. The captain turns to you and says, "Expert swordsman, able to defend in a moment's notice, and several hundreds in number. Our militia are often purchased by Ebon Company for protection of the realm or by other private militia needs, of course.
Of course. Which, by the way, how many was it from having spoken to Belvedere before? And so I did send him a message and it way back when. But how many was like the minimum that we were required to need to hire in order to have the forces necessary to offer the protection?
Are you asking the game master?
Yes, I'm asking you as game master.
Okay. You were not given a total. You were just told provide protection specifically for nobles, but for the realm would be preferred. Or if you can spare men to help the people of the realm, that would be preferred. You were pretty much given this it's almost like a go ahead and see what you come up with and then come back to us with a quote.
All right. I'm aware how many current actual the numbers of the Flaming Fist are within Fort Eltan and
less than 100.
how many people were there for the nobles that needed the protection?
There are 22 representatives, one for each ward, and then the Gladamine High Council, which is 4.
So 26 total. Well, actually, some of us include the 22, correct?
Correct.
But whether or not we actually need protection ourselves, but I mean.
As you continue to look, she begins to lead you away once again. This time heading about 100 feet to the south towards a very tall turret or tower, I guess. Entering into one of the side doors and walking down one of the hallways through a spiral staircase. As you begin to head below ground through this kind of central staircase, you don't go down very far before you walk out into a very long chamber where several smaller chambers reside. You peek into one of them, and the man within is examining several chalices very closely before picking one of them up. As he examines it, he's very closely monitored by an administrator of sorts. With a slight nod, you watch as he places the chalice down on the table in front of him, and then, with a faint glow from a dragon mark on the back of his neck, he closes his eyes and casts a spell. I'm certain this is the poisoned glass. A few moments pass and the administrator nods and then turns to you. Captain Marifel then stops looking in your direction and says, "This is the Warding Guild. They specialize in inquisitives and sentries for hire. Many of the Damadani brethren are part of this guild. They are perfect guards to hire if you believe someone is plotting against you and you're uncertain who or what their motives might be."
Freddy nods.
As the guided tour here finishes, Captain Marifel motions for you to follow her, this time going towards the northern turret of the building, entering into one of the side doors and taking you up the spiral staircase. Several revolutions before you reach a hallway that begins to extend out of the tower and then up a curved flight of stairs to the balcony. She extends her hand out, kind of motioning for you to take a seat at the table next to her, 12 seats flanking it. As she reaches forward, grabbing the closest one to her, she pulls it out, sits down at the head of the table, and then looks at you and says, "Now tell me, how can the Madani assist you?"
Well, as you know, Flaming Fist is being tasked with providing not only potential support for, well, primarily support for the various nobles in the Gladamahan Council, but as well as support also throughout the city realm, the offering where it can be. Unfortunately, since the Flaming Fist's own numbers aren't adequate, that's why I'm here, obviously, to reach some sort of agreement to where we require the services of some of your fine mercenaries in order to assist with the endeavor.
Well, we certainly have a lot of them, and I can be quite honest with you. Certain ones obviously cost more than others, and certain numbers are a little more effective at their jobs than others as well. What is it specifically that you're looking for? Because I can very easily just hand over immediately 200 of my militia and send them out to your city and just be done with it. No problem. Low cost, they're efficient at their job, or at least efficient enough.
Well, with the recent activities that pulling us up the troops, I had to turn this bot down a little bit, so it just got real loud.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Had to turn him down from 5 to 3.
Well, as I'm sure you've probably heard well at this point, just a few days ago there was an attempt on one of the Gilded Lane. Fortunately, there seems to be... It seems likely that won't be their only attempt. So, especially providing protection for the Gilded Lane against this threat was of a high priority. As well as other representatives as well.
She looks at you and hands you a rolled up piece of parchment, kind of rolling it across the table, tossing it in your direction. As you open this piece of parchment, on it, it lists the following information. It mentions the Madani militia, which are just basic troops that carry short swords and a crossbow. They allow for general deployment and things of that nature. Gives you a total number of 200 militia at a very low cost. And at the bottom, there's a star listing, a 1 through 4 star listing. This one is a 2. You skip down and you come to the Ranged Corps. These were the longbow individuals. They carry daggers with them as well, but they're more sniper-type deployments, meant to hide and not really be seen amongst the rabble, amongst the people that are participating in the event, so not to cause a disturbance. There are 50 of them, with a medium height cost, so a 4-star cost, and however their effectiveness is somewhat low, giving them only a 1-star on the effectiveness. Next on the list is the Warning Guild, the individuals that you saw down below with the dragon marks that were the Inquisitives, the Centuries for Hire. These guards could detect plots against nobles and poison and things of that nature. Their numbers are around 30, with a very high cost, bringing it to a total of 4 stars and a 3-star on their effectiveness. The last group is the Basilisk Age Gays. They are the elite of the Medani, which hunt war criminals, kind of wanted here within the Living Isles and Eberron, the 5 nations. These are the current troops that are trained in a new manner of warfare called firearms. They have 15 in number. They have the highest cost of all of them. But their efficiency is also a 4-star. Based on what you're able to understand of this, you know the Gladamain will support the cause if it means protecting the realm. But you also know you don't want to make Belvedere feel weird for asking for a massive sum of money to be able to support all of this.
Right, and do I even know, like, if there is such a thing as a budget? We're already within.
You know that the Flaming Fist coffers are tapping out quickly. They're starting to deplenish a little faster than they're even ready for.
Well, speaking to the captain, for the Gladamains themselves, as I explained, the plot that seems to be going on would definitely, I think it's since they require some of your specialists for inquisitives and detection, so that's try to avoid a situation in the foreseeable future of anything like that happening again. Beyond that, for the most part, I believe general forces should suffice for the majority of the task that we have set ahead of ourselves.
Okay, so you mentioned the Warning Guild for the number of 30, which will take care of the nobles. And you mentioned the militia. Which would be 200 men roaming around the city streets with a somewhat efficient manner. Not quite the best, but not terrible either.
speaking out, it can't be any worse than those in the Ebon Company that we've ran into.
Oh no, you're pretty certain that these individuals are well trained for this position, for what you're calling upon them. After a couple moments, you see she immediately grabs another piece of parchment and starts jotting things down a bit. And as she does, a couple seconds into her writing, you hear the sound of the doorway down below begin to open and footsteps coming around the rounded staircase. It is here that you see a somewhat familiar sight. The bald head of Taldor Demadini, the representative of Sentinel North that you met at the Gladamain High Council. He steps forward and very stone-like face, kind of looking in your direction. He reaches out, extending his hand towards you, specifically Freddy, kind of greeting you and then immediately turning to Captain Marifil and says, "Tell me, have they came to a decision yet, Captain?" And she looks down at her notes and rolls the scroll up and hands it over to him, kind of recapping to Taldor exactly what it was that you were looking for. As he takes his parchment and unfurls it, kind of looks at you and says, "Well, I'm certain that the Queen will cover the expenses of the Warding Guild, at least. Hopefully you will have enough to be able to cover the militia," would be my estimation. Is that correct?
I'll make sure of it.
And with that, he kind of nods at you and says, "Very well. Prepare the men at once. Have a letter written up for the representatives stating that the Flaming Fists have recruited the newest and finest recruits this side of the Trackless Sea and offer their services to protect them during this event. Send letters to Belvedere, Jehoshaphat, and have him sign them as well. Once the representatives agree and we get the funds sent to us, we will have the men dispatched at once." He stops and again looks in the direction of Freddy and says, "Once payment is received, we'll take our cut and the cost of the men you purchased and forward all additional profits on that we receive to Toledo Holdings, where a new account is going to be set up. One for the Flaming Fist." Yeah, I think that about covers it. And you see, kind of grins a little bit as he starts walking away. Take from this that the money that they're earning from this isn't as important to them as the notoriety of saying they're helping the Flaming Fist and trying to reestablish a new group here. And the profits that they're getting off of it, they're reimbursing into the Flaming Fist itself.
Nice guys.
As he begins to walk off, you begin to see as everybody starts to scatter and scramble around, doing their own thing, getting everything prepared to send these men out and bring them or prepare them to be delivered to the Flaming Fist to be trained by Belvedere or his captains or commanders that would be taking care of all of this. It will take approximately 3 days from the moment payment is received before the men will arrive. So that gives you a time frame to look forward to as we move back here. Delivery of the men to the location if you can get payment taken care of as of today or the next day. They will be there ready to go for the first day of the festival.
So what do I get? possible bit more insight into Taldor.
What's that?
Do I believe? Do I get any vibes of like something akin to like the Ebon Company, where they're kind of like thinking themselves superior to the Fist, or that they truly are like in the heart of cooperation and
give me an insight check. You know, based on your dealings with him thus far, that Taldor is a very straightforward, very serious, very business-minded individual. He knows what's best for his group, and he knows what's best for the realm. While both aren't mutually exclusive, he will try to do his best to help out. What he's doing isn't about the Flaming Fist at all. What he is doing is proving that what he does is provides the best service in the realm. He's not arrogant. He's not cocky about it. He knows his men are good. And that's why people come to him. But he also rewards those in the realm that he feels are trying to take care of business the appropriate way. Unlike Ebon Company, who is literally just a police force, and some of them are looking for a paycheck, they didn't come in here looking for the best of the best. They came in here looking for individuals that they could use to kind of secure things over time. Or help with, situations at, person's house, like public disturbance that, they don't want to send the most elite people out to take care of. They would just send out these random individuals that are going to take care of everything. That's why you're noticing, especially as your investigations to the city continue, Ebon Company is not really like the end-all be-all. They have tiers of Ebon Company. Most of these people are literally the equivalent, as I mentioned before, they're the equivalent of like a meter maid. They have a very specific job to do. They're not here to be heroes of the realm. They're here to perform a duty. And not every single person that they hire has to come from House Madani. They can hire outsiders, and some of the outsiders, again, are looking for a government paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep dying.
And they keep dying. How does that bode for all of you playing in the one-shot as members of Ebon Company?
Oh, I have a great character idea. I'm not going to die.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not in it, so I'm not worried.
Pray for me, buddy. Pray for me.
You're gonna die.
Wow. What the hell kind of prayer for your friend is that?
A realist one.
All right, so...
I'm sad that shower didn't take you out.
With that, you quickly regroup once again. Let's see, back over here. And why don't I... Oh, your token's way down here. Why? Should be way up here. With that, you begin to step out of the Madonna Yard and head back out towards the SLR. What would you guys like to do now?
It takes a bit before Circe even notices that we're leaving, because that was so boring to her. She was actually falling asleep while she was standing. Bureaucracy does not bode well.
As we leave, I give thanks to the captain for their time, and I look forward to working together for this and in the future as well. Give them a salute.
And they return. closed fist over the chest and kind of nodding in your direction. They bid you safe travels and again remind you, as soon as you get payment, 3 days, they will deliver them in.
Of course. And then I will motion to the rest of the group to be on their way, and if I notice Cersei nodding off, I'll just give them a gentle.
Nice little elbow. Wake up.
She just kind of snaps awake and just looks around like, what? Huh?
We're leaving.
Oh. She just kind of nods to her sister and just kind of falls in step.
Can I just say that every moment we're not walking, Vivian is reading the book that she got?
Sure.
I want to think that even when we are walking, she kind of tries to read it.
She's glancing down at it, trying to catch little bits in between.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Every now and then someone has to reach out and kind of nudge her to the side before she walks into something.
All right. What would you like to do?
I'm going to peek over her shoulder and look at this book that she's reading.
The AFK IRL, grab a drink real quick.
We could always stop and take a 5-minute break if you want.
That might be good.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Okay, then let's do that. All right, guys. So we're going to step away, take a quick 5-minute break. I'm going to play our promo video, and then when I get back, or when we get back from the promo, I'm going to run a 1-minute ad because I can now do that. So we're going to see the promo for With Advantage and then play the ad. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here in about 5 or 6 minutes. So see you soon. All right, so back to it here. You have had a moment stepping away from House Madani and making your way back over towards the SLR, kind of taking it all in. A lot to try to understand and figure out. Belvedere being given a message from Taldor, basically stating that he was going to foot the bill for them and help the cause, and handing it over to Freddy to deliver it. At the same time asking that he sends this information over to Belvedere to get it signed as well. Just basically signing off on the troops that are going to be deployed. And with that, we need to know where you're going.
No, we don't. Nope. You just gotta walk.
Just gotta hang out. It's fine. It's fine.
At some point when we have free time, Vivian needs to go to the store and buy a quiver and arrows.
I mean, you have all the free time in the world.
Hey guys, let's go to the store and buy our archers some archer implements.
Yeah. We should probably hit up another tavern too while we have the time waiting.
Yep. I mean, right now it's getting close to about 5 bells in the evening. So, here before long, it's going to be prime time to be able to catch some of the acts and enjoy some of the festivities if you so choose. But in the meantime, you can always head over to the trade ward, where you can find many smiths, woodworkers, and things of that nature, and be able to find just about anything you're looking for there.
So I just want to buy a quiver and 20 arrows.
Are you planning on doing a lot of archering?
Not like I just have a short bow as one of my packed weapons, and I guess I need arrows for it, so I just wanted to get some.
Okay. A quiver equipped with 20 arrows has a cost of 1 gold piece.
I pay it.
Okay.
Don't pay it, haggle.
So here's the other part to that. Where are you wandering around? So you're within the trade ward. Are you looking for something specific out of your vendors, or are you just going to go to the first one you find and just buy something?
I'm just looking for the first person I see with arrows and a quiver.
Okay. There are tons of them.
Clear to this, I would suggest being like that we should specifically look for maybe like an actual like Fletcher or armory or something that they definitely know something in making the arrows, not just random old.
The thing is that Vivian.
You cut out.
Vivian doesn't know anything, and she doesn't quite care either. So she's just gonna buy the first thing she sees.
That is bad shopping practice.
Well, let's see if we can, without trying too hard, see if we can't find something that's a little bit more akin to some of them. At least we have a little bit of quality assurance. I would like to try and see if I can suss out a like either like as a Fletcher's or some sort of armory or weapon sales of some kind.
Okay. Give me a perception check. Is that the new perception check? I had to scroll down, so I wasn't sure. Did you just roll that?
The 12, yes.
Yeah. Okay. As you're wandering around through the trade ward, you quickly surmise that there are a lot of individuals who are very skilled at actually crafting these items, and not just somebody who has them at a shop and is selling them. As you're wandering around, you do find several woodworkers and Fletchers that are making some of very fine and ornate looking arrows and things of that nature. You do find one that you feel is suitable, and as you walk up, all of their stuff is very well kept, very organized. Every single arrow, as you start to draw it from the quiver and take a look at it, it's perfectly straight. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing warped or seems out of place. You feel like this is a good place to be able to purchase it from.
I pay whatever the man asks for.
Which is, again, just 1 gold piece.
Also, if we want to go to a tavern, we need to decide which one.
Yup.
Which ones haven't we gone to yet?
I listed them in the chat. It's Stubborn Mule, Bright Candle Inn, Blushing Inn, Drunk Octopus, and Obnoxious Owl.
All incredible names.
I like the Obnoxious Owl the best, so I say we go to that.
What was the one that we went to? We only have been to one.
You went to the Broken Root Inn.
Ah, yes, there it was. I was like, I know I saw a list somewhere that I took in my notes.
Yep.
Where I should have checked first.
Yep, that was the first one you went to.
Well, Blushing Baker is currently in the trade unless we specifically want to travel somewhere.
And based on where your token is, you guys do know that the white, small white pins in the map are locations of the inns here within the city.
We could also specifically do one of the ones like, I don't know, there is, oh, let's find this out.
Maybe we should do the Blushing Inn since it's the closest.
Yeah, sure.
The one on the dock would be the...
Drunk Octopus.
Yep, there it is.
And then you have one this direction, which is the scrolling Stubborn Mule. While we're here in the trade ward, is there anything else you guys are looking for or want to buy?
No, but I'm going to hand out a lot of pamphlets.
Gonna help hand out pamphlets.
Praise be to Kaifan.
The glorious eye in the sky. It rhymes, people.
All right, so deciding to make your way to the Blushing Baker then.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so heading to the northeast of where you were at, you begin to make your way, heading to a location called the Gilded Lane. As you walk in, or as you approach the building, it looks like a very kind of snug, modest, and kind of delightful little building. Sandstone bricks and very large stone pillars make up most of the outside of the structure of this building. As you walk up to the door and begin to enter, grabbing onto the handle and pushing this kind of heavy metallic door forward, you're welcomed by the sound of very cheerful singing and kind of clapping and people enjoying themselves while they're visiting this inn. The bartender's very preoccupied and kind of wandering around the building. You're able to spot them pretty easily as they stand out compared to most of the people that are the patrons here within the facility. Inside the building, stone beams support most of the upper floors, and large candles are attached to them, keeping the building pretty well lit. The walls are littered with all sorts of memorabilia. Everything and anything they've collected, people just leaving things behind as tokens of them being there and just coming to enjoy themselves. The tavern itself is very packed. Most of the clientele here appear to be travelers, just people coming in and out of the trade ward itself and just find this place in passing. You do find a small table that is currently unoccupied off to the backside, and as you sit down and take a look around the place, you're noticing you're not seeing anything worthwhile here. You glance around looking for a stage, and currently there doesn't appear to be any performing acts. Everybody that is here is the drunken travelers that are participating and singing and laughing and making their own songs, some of them pulling out their own lutes and performing right on the bar, just hopping up on top and strumming and playing along. Everybody's singing and having a good time. It's entertaining, but it's not quite the quality that you were looking for. Fortunately, this is one of the inns that you're not going to be able to find anything at. At least not tonight.
I am gonna go to the bar and see if I can talk to the.
I was about to say the same thing, so I'll join.
All right. As you walk over to the bar, you see the innkeeper wandering around. Takes him a couple of minutes to kind of gather himself, and as he regroups, seeing people standing at the bar, quickly rushes back, sticks his hand out forward to Vivian first, and shaking her hand, and then over to Freddy and says, "Name's Wardo. What can I get for you?"
So I have two questions. One, how much is a how many of us are? Okay, 1 second.
There's 5.
Like, how much does 5 ales cost?
As you ask that, he looks at you and says, "Well, it's 5 copper for 1 ale." Hey, Party White,
Awesome.
thank you for
So
the
I'll take
12
5
months.
ales.
Congratulations
And then,
on
are
the
there any
diamond.
special performances that happen at this inn?
As you ask about special performances, he nods and says, "There are from time to time. Generally, it is when the traveling bard troupe makes their way here, but they haven't been here so far this week. I'd say check back, I don't know, another 2 or 3 days from now. They should be here. Best to check early, because they like to get wasted, and then by the time if you get here late, it's just going to be bad."
Thank you for the information. And when the ales are done, I'm going to take them back to the group.
Okay.
I'll give the barkeep a silver piece.
All right. And takes a silver piece and kind of pockets it, slides the 5 tankards of ale over towards you.
So, guys, I got you all an ale, and the bartender says that there is a troupe that comes through, but like every few days. So we'll have to come back.
I'm gonna connect to your brain. Did he say if they do the performance that we're looking for?
Freddy, I paid the 5 copper.
Oh, I said I slipped. I didn't hear you. So whatever. You give him a silver piece then.
It was 5 copper each.
Oh.
I didn't I asked how much do they all cost?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, the cost per drink is 5 copper.
So
25 copper or 2 silver and 5 copper.
okay, I gave him 2 silver and 5 copper.
So give him a silver for the info.
Mm-hmm.
The tip.
All right. All right, so hanging out, I mean, like I said, it's pretty enjoyable here, and the people here are very friendly. The atmosphere is really fun to participate in and kind of see all of these people that are just having a good time, but it's not quite what you're looking for right now.
I'm going to find someone that looks sober enough to at least have someone a reasonably coherent conversation, and also that seems to is at least listening to seems to be enjoying
Okay. As you kind of roam around and scour the room a little bit, you are able to find a few individuals, mostly towards the back of the room. Most of them being people that have just came in here and been here just a little bit longer than you, sitting over by the door that are enjoying the festivities.
I walk up and like, hello friends, mind if I join you and buy you around?
As soon as you say buy them around, they immediately welcome you over.
When I can wave down or get the attention of a server and get around for them, and another one for myself.
Okay. There are 3 of them there, so it will cost you 2 silver pieces to pay for the entire thing.
No problem. And then talk to them, make a little bit of small talk, but then eventually get to ask them what they know about the particular troupe bards that perform there, at least regularly. Ask them, like, just try to get a feel, see how if they're any good, and what if anything in particular that they specialize in, or like if they have specific songs or shows that they do.
As you begin to ask, the 3 gentlemen that are sitting there with you kind of smile a bit and said, "Yep, I know exactly the troupe, and if you wanted to see them, well, you could probably make your way over towards the Shanty Square and visit the Stubborn Mule. They're there tonight. Put on a pretty good performance. They kind of make their rounds. Couple of individuals that like to banter back and forth and entertain the crowds and perform a couple of songs, as it were."
Indeed. You said the Stubborn Mule on the Shanty Square, you said?
And he nods and says, "It's not too far of a walk. I mean, obviously everything here is a little far away, but that's the best place to catch them. I've caught them here a few times, but nothing quite beats the Stubborn Mule."
Well, I'll definitely have to check it out. Maybe if not tonight, then probably tomorrow for sure.
And kind of nods and says, "Trust me, you won't be disappointed. These are some of the best students from the Bardic colleges, both here and Eberron. It's incredible. You will enjoy yourself."
Looking forward to it. Thank you for your time,
and kind of nods.
You guys have a good...
Again, kind of nods and thanks you for the drink and says, if you ever want any more advice, I'll take another ale."
Oh, I'll keep that in mind and I'll give them a wait.
All right.
I'll make my way back to the party and I'll relay the information so that if we want to catch the troop, they're next to these tonight and the next night. It seems that they're at the Stubborn.
Party.
Sorry, what did you say? I'm sorry. I couldn't quite catch it.
Oh, so I was saying I relayed the information of what I was told from the...
so alright, so they're at the other tavern is what you told us. Okay.
Yep.
So Circe is going to link minds with you, which might be a little weird, but it's the only way that she can talk. So she says to you, do you think we should go over there then?
What time is it currently at this point?
It was pretty early. It's 5 bells in the evening. So, based on the information that you've gathered, you do know that the Stubborn Mule will be open until 3 bells in the morning. So they're going to be there performing and, having fun for a while.
The barkeep also told us that we want to try and catch them early because the later we get, the more drunk.
Uh-huh.
So,
and this is coming from the innkeeper of a place that closes at 12 bells. So they get an extra 3 hours at this other place. You can only imagine what it's going to be like if you arrive there much later.
I don't know how long it would take us to make the trek to the Stubborn Mule.
It's not too bad. I mean, your trek back to the SLR would probably be an hour, or you could beeline it straight there because you're going from where your current token is to over here. It's not too terribly far away. You can make your way over to the main road here and just head straight over to it.
So it looks like even if we head back to nearest CLR, it'd be about the same difference as just like walking
pretty
straight
much.
there.
Yeah, because I mean, you're still gonna have to get off right here and then wander over. So either way, you're gonna be doing some walking.
So I'll reply to Cersei that, well, I would say that as long as we make our way there soon, we can probably catch them. It's the barkeep told us later we go, the less fulfilling, I guess would be the way to put it, that it will be. So if we want to make our way there, we should do it sooner rather than...
All right, I'm going to finish my drink and I'll be good to go.
Yeah, I'll just chug my drink and wait for everyone else to be ready to head over.
I too will slab mine back.
Same.
Do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So everybody quickly downing your drinks and attempting to quickly get out of here and beeline your way over towards the Stubborn Mule. Let's see. Taking this information that you have now gathered from the attendee here, quickly wander southwest. Yeah, it's still southwest, I guess. Making your way over towards the Stubborn Mule, which resides on Beacon Lane. This facility operates at 11 bells in the morning until 3 bells in the morning, closing down just long enough to restock, clean, and prepare for the next day's events. The mule is licensed to a half-elf that goes by the name of Trevon Terion, and employs 6 other individuals to help keep the mule operational. This information, obviously given to you by the registry, indicates that the Stubborn Mule is located just a short walk from the Deoran Gladamain Gateway, which is the rectangular thing here. As you begin to approach and make your way towards the gateway, you're starting to see what makes this city very unique. You watch as people come and go. The Deoran Gladamain Gateway is the portal between Eberron and the Living Isles here. And you watch as people pass through on one side, pass through from Eberron, making their way into the city, and the people leaving the city going through the other side of it. As you walk past and make a quick turn off to your right and head over towards the Stubborn Mule over here, it's not too difficult to identify this place. From the outside of the building, clay bricks and very basic kind of wooden carvings make up the majority of the outside of this building. The windows are all tinged with dirt from the nearby road and all the travel and stuff to and from going by the gateway itself. However, you're pretty certain, as was pointed out in Discord, this is a prime spot to have any kind of tavern, especially being so close to the portal itself. As you begin to approach, the music and songs can be heard as clear as day outside, and even more so the moment that the door swings open into the building. Standing on the rooftop are two decorative statues depicting a man grabbing on to the reins of a mule and attempting to pull it onward, and the mule sitting back on its haunches, refusing to move. As you enter into the tavern through this hard wooden door, you're welcomed by the sound of laughter and people clapping and enjoying the songs that are being played. The bartender is handling most of the customers, and a handful of servers begin to float around the room and help to keep people entertained and serviced with the finest liquor in the city. The inside of the building is very simplistic. Not a lot to it, save for all of the decorations from one of the local colleges here within the city. The tavern is packed end to end, wall to wall. People pack into this place, attempting just to enjoy the sights and sounds of what would be several individuals performing all at once. As you begin to wander inside, listening to the music and attempting to decipher what's going on, it seems that there are two bardic colleges that are attempting to fight for the like and appreciation of all of the patrons of this tavern, and in doing so, earning themselves free drinks while they're performing. Judging by the interactions you're seeing, it's pretty easy to surmise these people are fantastic, and both of them trading songs back and forth. They're also very inebriated already.
Do I pick up on what their songs are about?
As you're beginning to listen and trying to pay attention to what they're singing about, you're noticing they're taking hints from the crowd. As you sit down and take a seat listening into some of the songs, somebody will shout something out. It's almost like, I'm sure almost everybody here has watched Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Mm-hmm.
You know how they give them a topic and then they just sing on whatever that topic is? That's kind of what's going on here.
Awesome.
So the bards... What's that?
This is one of the bards Wayne Brady.
Pretty much, yeah.
It is definitely a Wayne Brady looking half elf, complete with
100%
pointy ears.
And as you look forward and attempt to see who's doing most of the performances, you're seeing there are two separate groups here, all of which are college students or members of the Bardic College. On the left are members of Blairwood College, which is the local college here within the city of Toledo. And on the right, as you begin to look over them, you're seeing members of Edgewood College, these individuals hailing from Eberron. You're also noticing a couple individuals that are kind of standing out, almost like they're leading the troops along and trying to get them into performing and acting. And they seem to be very in tune with whatever's going on. If somebody calls something out, they quickly come up with an idea, turn around, and tell the rest of the group. these two individuals, one a male elf, which represents Blairwood College, and the other a female dwarf that represents Edgewood.
I'm going to take a seat and watch the show.
If they ever ask for suggestions, I'm going to suggest one of the
Cult of Kaifon.
Okay.
Play Freebird!
Play Freebird!
I was waiting for that one.
What did you say, Vivian?
I said that if they ask for suggestions, I'm going to suggest one of the champions of the whatever
To perform.
Yes.
Okay. As you sit down, quickly the owner of the inn rushes over, Treventarian, making his way over to you, wiping off the table as you begin to sit down, and kind of looks around and says, "All right, very well. You, and you. What am I getting you?" And going left to right, whoever's sitting close to him, he's asking for your drink order.
A round of your house special.
Likewise.
Give him a thumbs up.
House special. Got it. All right. All right, fine. Quickly tries to wave down one of his servers. Nobody's paying attention to him. And you hear him let out a loud whistle, and all 5 of his servers stop and turn and look at his direction. And he's like, Laura, yes, come here. Get them house special quickly. And immediately everything continues on. Trevin walks away and begins to make his way back over, tending to some of the other customers, trying to get their attention. Couple moments pass, and as you're sitting here, people begin to start shouting out some of the songs and things that they want people to talk about.
When people start shouting, I shout out Kai Gladamain.
Okay. As they start stumbling forward, you can hear they've been drinking pretty heavily for a while. They step out, and 2 of them, the 2 troop leaders, the half-elf and the female dwarf, they step face to face here, and the half-elf, or the elf, kind of kneeling down in front of the dwarf and saying, "Listen here. Edgewood Academy should go back to Eberron. Everyone in Toledo knows there's no match for Blairwood College. What? You think you think you could walk in here and just sing about our lore? Yeah, no, you're wrong. You're wrong, bucko."
I feel like we're getting a little bit of Forge's real life bleeding through here.
I'm gonna just... Oh, I was gonna shout...
What are you shouting?
Oh. I shout, like, competition, or, like, who can do it better? Who can tell a story better?
Rap battle.
Yeah, exactly.
As he finishes, kind of slurring his words a little bit, and the room erupts. Most of the people here are kind of pulling for Blairwood College because it's the local college here in the city. And you do notice there's a pretty good group of individuals that follow Edgewood Academy, and the female dwarf kind of stumbles forward and places her hand on the chest of the half elf, and a couple of her friends holding her up, trying to keep her on her feet here. And she says, "Everyone knows any song performed by Eberonian bard sounds entirely better than the gutter trash that grew up in this city."
I'm going to lean over to who is ever next to me, and I just say, I don't think we're going to get her song.
No, it sounds like they just want to make out.
The arguments go on for a couple minutes, but they do yield this sage, and eventually the elves of Bardwood College step forward. As the leader of the troop steps forward, you're noticing the moment he starts to perform, he immediately just centers in. He focuses. He knows exactly what he's going to do. He knows exactly how to sing and keep up with everything that's going to take place. The band behind him, very well attuned. They know what's going on. This isn't their first time performing or being in this kind of setting. They do it all the time, apparently. As they step forward, the elf and the leader itself steps up and takes a bow, attempting to kind of provoke some applause from the crowd, and then begins to sing. And it's sung to the song Age of Aggression, if you guys know that from Skyrim.
No, I don't think I've ever played Skyrim.
Never played Skyrim. Nobody's ever played Skyrim.
Is it a popular game?
No,
Could they have perhaps
not at all.
It's on every conceivable console known to man.
I believe I've heard of Skyrim. It's that weird indie title by that small studio called
that small studio. I heard that you can actually play it on the Alexa robot.
You can. That wasn't
and
a
it's
joke.
not a joke. I have it on mine. So he sings. So we drink to our youth, to new days that will dawn, and the age of aggression has come and gone. They drove out the hand to restore what we owed. With their blood and their steel, they took back our home. Down with Kai, the killer of kings, on the day of his death, we drink and we sing. And it continues on. Several lyrics and several lines of continuing talking about Kai Gladamain and taking this prompt to be able to sing of it. After a few moments, the female dwarf steps forward and kind of pushes him out of the way, and a little arrogant in doing so. She too begins to sing, this time to... I'm trying to remember the name of the song.
I clap. This is a nice song.
Ragnar the Red, also from Skyrim. And says, as she steps forward, again, bowing to the crowd, says, there once was a villain named Kai Gladamain who wanted to lead the Isles in vain. Much power and glory for which he exclaimed, to the hand and their minions to which he would reign. You talk and you lie about all you would gain. Now I think it's high time that your power shall wane. said the heroes who came in slashing with steel as they stopped his attacks just before he would kneel. Then the braggart named Kai was boastful no more when his ugly pale head rolled around on the floor. And with some celebration, both Bao and the crowds cheering for each one of the participants, and leaves you sitting at the bar listening to these two individuals who are pretty much making up these historical songs as things are going on. How would you like to proceed? Also, I hate myself for making things that actually require me to try to sing, and I'm not going to really sing.
No, we have it recorded now.
I know, trust me. This VOD is going to be deleted tonight.
Gonna have to
quickly. Come on, let's go.
Get those clips out, everyone. I guess I'll mind link with Vivian. So, what do you think?
In my, I've been a performer, so in my performer opinion, who was better?
Blairwood was the better performer. The Edgewood dwarf, she was, as far as singing would go, she would be the better singer, but the Blairwood elf knew how to hype up the crowd and keep everybody entertained.
Which one had a more accurate retelling, though, as far as we could tell?
And so the other part to that is with the Blairwood one, that continues on for a while. So because there's a lot more to the song itself. Both are pretty accurate. There's nothing. The Edgewood group seemed to have, if you looked at the Edgewood song, it was very accurate to the final battle, where the one that Blairwood was telling was pretty much just a generic, a hero's kind of song. It wasn't giving out details or anything like that. It was just trying to motivate the troops.
So I'm going to turn to Cersei, but still address everyone. Blairwood was definitely the better performance, but Edgewood had better singing. So I am curious if you guys think we should just ask the both of them.
I mean, wouldn't be hurt, and not to mention, I feel like there's some merit to them, to the competition here, which definitely, I think, bolsters both performances a little bit. Which one was said for the latter wasn't much more generic, the player one?
What's that?
Which one was more, you said, was more generic than the second one, the Blairwoods, versus like this? The
Blairwood was generic. The Edgewood one was very specific to the events of the Falakai. The performance aspects, however, Blairwood was better than Edgewood. From a vocalist standpoint, Edgewood was better than Blairwood. So they kind of trade off a little bit. The Blairwood song seemed to have a bit of a flair to it when they're singing that seemed to get the crowd behind it and motivated to want to sing along. where Edgewood, they were just kind of clapping and enjoying the song.
Just as a little out of character, though, too. Excuse me. Yeah, Cassius wanted us to want his accuracy though, if I remember correctly.
I believe he said that, but I think he would also want maybe a variety and not just accuracy, but good performers.
Right. I mean, as weird as you said, there, while there was the better performance overall, it was into Edgewood 2, that they were still, I would still say, were pretty good. And if they do fit the bill as far as like retelling the story, which, I mean, maybe there's more to it. Maybe if Hollywood is to perform something a little more specific, maybe we can get another request in.
All right. So, what are you guys thinking?
So, I'm gonna see if I can notice when either of the singers are alone and then, well, not busy, and I'm gonna go talk to them.
Okay. You do notice as soon as the elf steps off of the stage and kind of wanders back, he's the first you're able to kind of approach. Kind of a tall, thin kind of tall and thin elf with very dark colored hair and very brilliant green eyes. Wanders around and hanging out with the other members of the troop itself. As he starts to separate from them, you're able to kind of catch him after the conversation or the songs have ended on the stage for a moment, and able to quickly begin to strike up a conversation with him.
Hello, sir.
Yes, hello. How are you today?
I am doing great. I was wondering if I could talk to you about a potential performance at the festival.
Oh, well, we had been considering speaking to Lord Cassius about it. We know that he was planning some of the festivities for it, and we wanted to be brought into their attention.
My friends and I point out to the rest of the group, we've been asked by Lord Cassius to find performers that are not only good, but accurate to perform at the festival. And I think you would be a great fit.
And with that, he kind of nods and says, I really appreciate that. That's very kind words of you. I wasn't quite expecting anybody to come and offer us a job on the spot, but yeah, I'm pretty certain that the other members of the troupe would be interested in performing.
That's wonderful. I will send a letter to Cassius to inform him that you guys are interested and that our group thinks you would fit good and he would be ready to meet you.
And kind of with that, you watch he stops and a deep breath and says, okay, that would be fantastic. Tell me, do you come out here this often? I haven't seen you here. I'm making a fool of myself. What am I doing?
Do I get the sense that he's like trying to flirt with me?
Yep, absolutely.
Vivian would not know that. Bailey knows it, but Vivian does not. So she is going to turn to him and be like, oh yeah, I don't come here often. I just actually came to the Living Isles to visit some family. And my friends and I, we've been traveling to a lot of taverns, trying to find who's really good. And my mother was actually a bard, and so I know a bit about performing, and you're really good.
Oh, your mother is a bard. Who's your mother?
I sigh, because I know he's going to know who she is. And I say, her name's Avalana.
Never heard of her.
He does look at you, and his eyes get really big. He's like, Did you say Avalana?
Yeah, Avalana Gilmere.
Got it. Yeah,
I'm Vivian Gilmere.
You don't say. Your mother's an inspiration to a lot of us here.
So I'm learning.
All right, well, we're going to ignore all of that awkwardness that we had just before this. Thank you for speaking to us and for maybe getting us a job at the festival. We very much appreciate it. Thank you so much. And immediately he starts panicking and turns around and goes back to the group. As soon as he does, you see him kind of gather around with everybody else, and they kind of huddle around, and then you see all of them, as soon as he says Avalana's name, you watch as all of them immediately turn and look in your direction. They're not hiding it whatsoever. And just look. And then they all regroup and continue their conversation.
Did Vivian come back to the table?
Before I do, I just shout at the elf saying, "It was lovely meeting you." And then I'll return to the group.
Do we witness this whole exchange happen?
I don't know. What's your perception check?
You have a passive perception of 15, so let's roll it.
There's a lot of shit going on here, so you'd have to be focused on that.
22.
16.
Freddy sees it. Calypso, you see something going on, but you're quickly distracted because there's just a lot going on here. There's just people running around and singing and performing and just having a good time, and it's easy to kind of draw your attention away. Same with Celeste and Circe. Freddy, however, you catch on to all of this. You see everything that's occurring here.
When I return to the group, I tell them how he has agreed to perform, and all we need to do is
All we need to do is what?
tell Cassius.
Cool.
They seem to be fans.
Well, I'm getting the idea that a lot of people are fans. Not just at home, but a lot of people really like my mom.
She helped save the Living Isles.
I also saw the terrible attempt at flirting as well.
What?
I'm talking out of character to Forge. I also saw that as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you did.
Somebody's just like, yep, it's definitely your mom is famous, and just Kermit, it's like Kermit gift of sipping tea. With ale.
Yep, that's exactly what that is. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure if people actually knew her, they wouldn't be so quick to be big fans.
Did you incite any of it?
Nope.
They're just big fans.
I'm sure your mom's a wonderful person.
Oh, she is. She's just super controlling.
She's mom's best friend. Don't try to imply that
You can't hear me. I'm only talking to her.
I don't feel like I need to.
Well, stop using your Patches voice. You're not doing that telepathy.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I feel like I don't need an insight check to see that one guy's terrible flirt attempt.
Oh no, like he was absolutely horrible at it. Like really bad.
And I'm pretty sure, Freddy, you can tell that she is completely oblivious to what happened.
Yep, and he's going to choose to let it remain that way.
The female dwarf does come off the stage eventually, continuing to perform and things of that nature. If you would like to speak with her, she has red hair, kind of braided and pulled back into a very fancy braided looking ponytail on the back of her head. She is the troop leader of the Edgewood Academy troop of bards. She sits down and begins to just drink and hang out with the other individuals of her college.
So, I just realized I didn't even ask that elf for his name, so I'm going to go back to that group for just a quick second, and then I'm going to go back to the dwarf.
Okay. As you begin to walk up, you notice... What's that?
I'll join Vivian.
Okay. As you begin to walk up, this time with Freddy in tow, you watch as the entire group, Vivian walking up and kind of tapping the elf on his shoulder to get his attention. He stops and the entire group of them goes silent. The elf looks and kind of turns around, seeing Vivian, and kind of grins really big, and then right over her shoulder sees Freddy, and then his grin shrinks down just a little bit.
So, I just realized I didn't ask you for your name. And I thought that was very rude of me, so I thought I'd ask what your name was.
With that, he stands and kind of bows his head gently and says, "My name is Navari Mirasis," and I'll post it here. He says, "And yes, we definitely caught your name, Vivian. Don't worry, we will never forget your name."
I then, completely oblivious, I turn to Freddy and I say, "And this is Freddy, or Frederick, and apparently he used to travel around with my mom and my uncle." As you say Freddy, he kind of looks in your direction and he says, "The Freddy that followed Belvedere."
I'm the same.
I would have never in my entire life thought that I would have met two individuals that are so famous here. Freddy, it is a pleasure to meet you, and immediately reaches out, like frantically kind of giving you a handshake.
I will shake his hand.
As he does so, he's trying to gather himself. What brings you here? I can't believe that you're here hanging out with us in this place of all places in the city.
Well, I'm sure Vivian informed you of our task that we have set for us, so we'd heard good things about your troop and thought we wanted to come see for ourselves.
Yes. Lord Cassius wanting us to perform, or looking for people to perform for the festival. We're very much on it. We will be there. Absolutely. 100%.
Glad to hear it. I have a question for you, if you don't mind.
As you say that, he pauses for a second. Sure. What can I do for you?
Kind of turn my head and nod toward the dwarf and their troop and just ask that. So, is it all like your rivalry that you have with the other troop from the other college? Is that just something that happens when you guys cross paths, or is it something that occurs regularly? Like, I guess, is it something that you guys is it part of the routine, like, or is it simply just that when you guys happen to be at the same time or at the same time?
As you say that, you watch as a very big grin flashes across his face, and almost instantly that kind of drunken, haphazard kind of attitude immediately goes away, and a very serious, almost business-like kind of attitude approaches, and he looks at you and says, "Can't make money any other way. Might as well do it with people that I know I can compete with."
I'll nod and give him a...
So these are literally just rappers pretending to have beef with each other for publicity.
100%. These two are literally, they don't hate each other whatsoever. They just go from inn to inn and tavern to tavern, performing just to put on a show and get people hyped up to want to see them perform.
Fucking love it.
Well, I'm going to turn to Navari?
Yep, Navari.
And I will thank him for his time, and I say that I'm excited to see him perform and to meet up again. And then I am going to head over to the dwarf. And
then just as soon as you get ready to turn away, he reaches down, kind of grabs onto your hand, pulls you back, leans forward, gives you the kiss on the hand, and a kind of courteous bow forward towards you, and says, "Trust me, we will be seeing each other again."
So Vivian is light purple, so it's hard to see her blush, but she is most definitely blushing.
I raised my eyebrow at the guy. Give him the look.
Oh, he's good.
I'm gonna say to Vivian, I think he likes you.
Am I back with you guys at this point?
Yeah. Well, I was watching.
She's in your head.
I'm in your head.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And I just turned to look at her, and I'm just like quizzical, and that's when I leave and head to the dwarf.
The dwarf is again hanging out with the other members of her Bardic College, Edgewood Academy here. As they're hanging out, you're noticing she isn't letting on the same appearance that Navari was. As Navari was trying to show or act as if he was really drunk and wasted and, things of that nature. Fognalia, which is the name of the elf, and I'll give you her full name here. She, on the other hand, isn't playing up being drunk whatsoever. In fact, she's putting drinks down and continuing to take them over and over and not even appearing fazed by it.
Like a proper dwarf.
Like a proper dwarf. Absolutely.
So is Freddy still with me?
Yep, I will follow.
Then I walk over to the dwarf and I introduce myself and Freddy to her.
As you step forward, watch as Fognalia drops down, standing up in front of you and reaching up, grabbing your hand and shaking it. Same with Freddy. Kind of motions and begins to introduce you to her troop. And then kind of looks at the two of you and says, well, then what can I do for the two of you here?
So we were hired, well, more like given a mission by Lord Cassius to find performers to perform at the festival. And seeing your performance along with the other troupe, I thought you guys would be perfect to perform at the festival, if you'd want to.
As you mention, speaking to Navarre about performing, she looks at you and says, if he's performing, you know I'm going to perform. There's no way I'm going to let him one-up me on anything.
I counted on that, and I'll just give her a wink.
I think the performance speaks for itself.
Indeed, it was most excellent, by the way.
Thank you. I wouldn't have it any other way, and neither would the other members of our troop.
Well, I will let Cassius know that you are interested, and I'll let him know how good you guys were. So everything should be taken care of.
Wait. Before we agree, will there be ale?
Of course, it's a festival.
I mean free ale. Like stuff I don't have to pay for.
I'm sure I can arrange it.
Are you sure your pocketbooks are big enough for that?
It's technically not our pocketbooks.
I'm sure Cassius will be more than happy to oblige.
She pauses for a second. Fine deal.
Oh, also, Fagnalia? Is that how you say her name?
Yes.
Fagnalia, this doesn't really have to do with our business interaction, but is anyone allowed to perform, or just you guys?
What do you mean?
Well, I just haven't performed in a few years, and I kind of miss it. I was just wondering if I could perform.
Do you mean here? Like, this place?
Yeah, or do I have to go somewhere else?
I mean, most of the inns have a place that you could probably perform if you wanted to. If you wanted to perform here, you might be able to convince the owner, Trevin, to allow you to. I don't see any harm in it.
I just believe she was asking so she was not stepping on any toes, per se.
Oh, trust me, this isn't the Sharks. You don't have to worry about us. We're not going to fight you over turf.
Well, I'll ask I would like to perform a song that my mom and I used to do together.
She kind of points over in the direction of Trevin and says, the stage is all yours, little missy. You do whatever you want to do.
I'm gonna ask Freddy to ask the innkeeper for me, because I'm too nervous to get turned down.
Sure.
If you're too nervous to ask, how are you going to be able to go on stage?
How can you perform?
Avalana handled all the business and the booking.
I'm too far to hear. Actually, I don't know if I can hear back. Hold on. That's something I probably should make sure. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's a two-way, so Vivian can talk back to me with her brain.
Oh, well, if that was the case, the first time when you said you think he's flirting, I say, no, he's not.
Okay, well, that scene's already passed, but I'm going to assume that there was
No,
at
he's
least
not.
5 minutes of, yes, he was. No, he's not. Yes, he was.
No, he's not.
Freddy will approach the barkeep.
You find Trevin back over by the bar, just kind of serving drinks and helping to take care of all of the patrons here.
So, if he looks my direction, I get his attention. I just wave and say, "Excuse me, sir. I have a question / request for a friend of mine."
Trevin starts walking over towards you and kind of looks at you. Sure, what's going on?
My teaching friend over there, her name's Vivian, is something of a performer. Is wondering if it'd be all right for her to play a song on your.
I mean, obviously, it's up to the performer if they want to perform, but just keep in mind, this isn't your typical crowd. They come here looking for entertainment, and they're not ashamed to boo people off the stage if they're not performing well.
Of course. Thank you, sir.
And with that, he kind of nods at you and continues taking care of the rest of the customers.
I'll return to Vivian and tell her, yeah, it's good. Just, whenever you're.
Do you think I should? These people seem kind of scary.
Play Freebird.
Play Freebird.
And it's entirely up to you. I mean, if you're not comfortable with it, then by all means, don't do something if you don't want to do it. Otherwise,
Well,
I think you got this.
Well, I mean, I want to. It's just I've never performed without my mom, and she kind of was the one that drew the crowds.
Or would you like someone to accompany you? I'm sure one of the other bars would be able to, would be more than willing to provide some sort of backup or assistance just in case.
I don't know. That seems weird. I'll just go do it.
All right.
I'm just gonna go.
Vivian, I'm sure like, I think you got this. You'll be just fine. I'm casting guidance on her.
Great. I'm so happy.
Wonderful. Okay. So getting guidance for the next minute of your performance, you will be able to feel a little better at your duties than before.
So I have a flute. That's the instrument I have. And I was thinking I'd perform a short song of both singing and flute playing that my mom and I would play together.
Okay. So you could give me a performance, or if you're efficient, or proficient, I should say, with your flute, you could click on that character sheet and do the roll from there. Whichever one is higher.
Then you get D4.
Mm-hmm. But roll your D4.
How do I do that again?
Just do a
Is it
/R space 1D4. All right.
I'm gonna
11.
use a hero point to re-roll
Okay.
my performance.
Yeah, do it.
She have to re-roll that that guidance die as well.
I don't think she needs to.
Look at that. Look at that.
Nailed it.
All right. That one time that the hero points actually made a huge difference. Not only are you able to perform it, you perform it so well that the room begins to go silent as they're listening. They're paying very close attention to your performance, and as you begin to draw to a close with the song, and you stop this entire time, keeping your eyes closed, just focusing on the notes and performing the song. As it comes to a close, you stop, and that last key, you look up and open your eyes, and the entire room is speechless.
Woo! Woo! Sorry, had to break the silence.
And then as soon as the silence is broken, immediately everybody erupts into a cheer and just thoroughly enjoying the performance.
We know her. Our mom's friends with her mom.
I'm going to return to the table and drink the house special.
When the rest of the audience is applauding, Freddy will stand up and give a whistle.
Yeah. All right. And now, for the rest of the night, you can hang out here if you would so like to do so, and then head back to your apartments, or is there other things that you would like to try to do tonight?
Does this place have good eats?
Oh yeah, pretty decent food. They get enough foot traffic here that the owner of the inn knows you can't just survive based on alcohol. Does have some pretty fantastic cooks that are able to put together nice dishes that are worth coming here to visit them for.
I will get something to eat then.
Likewise.
Same.
All right. And we'll play out the rest of this night, assuming everybody is going to finish their meals, have another drink or two, hop on the SLR, and begin heading your way home for the evening.
Before I go to bed, I'm going to write the letter telling Cassius about the performers, and I'll have it sent out in the morning.
Okay. As you're writing the letter, you start to hear a voice. I see you're doing a bit of research.
Do I know if I have to speak out loud, or can I just think and he hears me?
You know you can think and he hears you.
I don't think it's any of your business what I do.
Oh, but I believe that it is. What's it going to hurt to let me know these things? It's not like I'm forcing you to make a decision.
Even if I wanted to, which I don't, my soul is already for Mephistopheles. You don't just break a contract.
Coughs in Pandora.
You most certainly could if your chosen deity isn't living up to expectations, then perhaps it is time that you reconsider your negotiations with them.
I'm just gonna ignore that, and I'll continue with what I was doing.
You know, at least here you would be appreciated and understood.
I understand what I am to Mephistopheles. I don't understand what I would be to you.
You are nothing but a number to Meph. That's all you are. Just another lost soul.
I know. But you didn't answer what I said. What would I be to you? What would be the point of me changing who I follow?
That's where we'll end tonight's session.
I'm trying to sleep. Stop thinking so much.
Stop thinking so much.
Don't think that about Kai. Stop it.
Yay.
Good
We
session.
got to play D&D tonight.
I know.
We
I'm
did.
happy.
Let's see if we can go 2 for 2 with Sunday.
Yeah.
No power outage this time either. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. All right. Be right back. I'm going to end stream and come back and chat.
Alrighty.